Good people, Steele right here, back with another episode today on the Real Steele Pod, episode 2. We have a special guest for y'all today. Tyson Cunningham comes on just to discuss his journey through high school, finding his love for basketball, finding his love for singing, also being in the band in high school, and all the way up to his first couple years in college, and then transitioning over to where he joins the team at Mississippi State University for basketball, and talking about that, navigating us through that time and that topic, and then transitioning over to his roles with FCA, and then now present day for the past 8 to 9 years, team chaplain for Mississippi State men's basketball team, and what that looks like, some fun stories, some fun times, through that process. So yeah, just leave us a like, leave us a comment, hit that subscribe button. Let's watch this channel grow together, and yeah, let's get into the episode. Welcome back, Real Steele Podcast, episode 2. We got a special one today. He doesn't need an introduction, but we're going to give him one anyway. Columbus High grad, Mississippi State grad, also played basketball there, and now FCA, and also the team chaplain for Mississippi State basketball. And this is Tyson Cunningham. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man, honored to be here. Very, very excited for the opportunity, man.
It's cool stuff. For sure. So what we do here is just get into your story and see kind of how our viewers and subscribers can kind of apply that to what you're telling us and what you're informing us about. So kind of going back, just Columbus native, how was kind of growing up in Columbus and coming up through Columbus High, and just that process, how high school is, just trying to find your way.
Yeah, man, high school was a lot of fun. I think back to that time, like you said, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do, what I enjoyed the most.
Right.
And of course, basketball, I fell in love with that sport early
Absolutely.
on, starting with Pee Wee and those YMCA leagues, and so when I got to Columbus High and got a chance to make the varsity team, I never forget playing for Coach Smith.
Yeah, Coach Sammy.
Coach
For
Smith,
sure.
man, Coach Sammy Smith,
Yeah.
man. Gotta love him, man.
Yeah.
Even to this day, a lot of players that played for him, we used to say, man, that he was a crazy, crazy man.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Great coach. I always appreciated, how he coached. He was really, for him, it was very important, not just to be a great team, be a good player, but to be a good person. He was one of the people that I just leaned into with how he was trying to help us be better men, to grow to be a good man. So even being at Columbus High, man, it was just a great journey, playing there and being involved with a lot in the community when I was in high school. So I just love that, man. And look back on those times, when you're in high school, it's like, man, you cherish those years.
For sure.
They go by quick, and, you make memories, but you look back on that time. I know being a grown man now, it's like, dang, I would love to just go back to high school just one day, right?
Yeah.
Just to enjoy it, but yeah.
What would you say some of your favorite memories of high school were? Like you said, just being involved with everything and that kind of thing. Like even just singing too. Like just you're finding your groups, here and there. Just finding that. What were kind of some favorite moments? If you could touch on that.
Yeah, for me, man. One thing. So it's kind of twofold. My whole life has kind of been kind of paved. God has done a lot of cool things. So even in high school, being seen as it was kind of funny. I had a lot of nicknames in high school. Oh yeah. They used to call me Preacher Boy. They called me anything centered around they called me Singer Boy, Preacher Man, whatever it was. Cause I sung, like you said, played basketball. I was in all type of clubs and school.
Activities.
I was
stay busy.
Drum captain my senior year in the band, on the drum line. So a lot of things that I was being able to be a part of. But I think some of the coolest experiences were attached to my sports, and all the friends that I made. Thinking back to my senior year, I never forget this. Probably one of the most memorable moments in my life. Coach Philip Morris, he's the head coach now. Me and him were on the same team in high school.
I didn't know you played with him. Okay, that's crazy.
Same year and everything.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
I remember our senior year, first game we were playing against Aberdeen.
Okay.
And we used to always had senior leave. You could leave early and stuff like that. So that particular day when the season was starting, me and him were in there just getting up shots, just getting ready for the game that evening.
Right.
And I remember me and him having a conversation, man. Because up until this point, I had played. I've been playing. I've been in the rotation, but I hadn't played a whole lot.
Yeah.
And so I remember we were talking. I said, Phil, what if I just score a whole lot of points tonight? And he was like, I mean, it's not impossible. You just never know.
Never know.
And that night, for whatever reason, that year, Coach Coach Smith didn't tell anybody who was starting. And so that whole summer, years prior, like everybody knew, like, okay, we know the starting position.
Yeah.
This year, nobody knew. So one of the best experiences that I remember in high school, man, that night, Coach Smith was going down the lineup, like telling us who started, and he called my name. And so I'm like, man, like, let's go. Like, this is gonna be the year, right? And I'll never forget, man. We were away at Aberdeen, and we ended up winning the game. But I experienced something new for the first time. I actually scored a lot of points. Didn't realize what was happening. I was like, man, it was cool.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, almost got emotional during the game. I'm like, man, all this hard work is like, it's paying off. And so after the game, I never forget, Coach Smith said, hey, does anybody know how many points Tyson had? I didn't even know. I was like, I don't know. He was like, Tyson had 28 points. Dang. And I was like,
probably didn't even feel like
I was like, yo, this is crazy, right?
Right.
So everybody was just like surprised. I was shocked. But he followed it up with like, he said, I bet all this stuff that Tyson has been doing, like, cause I was in the gym, man. I was getting up shots. I was doing whatever I could, man, just to try to be better.
Right.
And he said, man, all the hard work that Tyson's been putting in is showing up, in his
coming
game.
to light.
And he scored a lot of points for us tonight. We won that game, but it was probably one of the most memorable moments, man, in my high school tenure. It was fun.
I didn't know you and Coach Morris played together. Though.
Yeah.
Shout out Coach Morris. I didn't know that.
Hey, you talking about a phenomenal player.
Still can play.
Still can play, man. Great point guard. For sure. Love that guy, man. But yeah.
Well, how would you? Because we also know you're a great singer. You got a beautiful voice for sure. So shout out to that. Like, how could you balance like practicing singing and like school and basketball? How could you balance that just in high school? Like, that's hard enough just to kind of find your way with that.
That's true. It's really just boiled down to like, people always say you make time for what you want to do.
That's true. Yeah.
And for me, I wasn't involved in a whole lot of stuff outside of school, so it's like that was kind of my life. Church, school, sports. Right. Church, school. So I let my life evolve around that, and I didn't do a whole lot of extra stuff. So me, I was singing everywhere.
Yeah.
In the locker room, like at home.
Yeah. No nickname probably.
Yeah, like I used to. They used to joke me. I'd be singing during practice, just it was just a part of what I did. So practicing, like, it was just what I did every day. So it's like I started singing when I was 6 years old. I led my first song in church when I was 6 years old.
Wow.
And that was an emotional experience, man. I'll never forget it. I was leading the song and I was scanning the church, and a few people started crying. My mom started crying. I started crying. I was like, I don't even know what's happening. But
it's moving.
It was just an emotional time where I was like, man, I enjoy this. I want to do this more. And so that kind of started my journey on singing. And like you said, just like when it came to academic, school, basketball, all of it, like my parents were like, look, now that you've shown us early on that you're capable of making good grades and making all A's, that's the expectation. Yeah. Like you've shown us you can make all A's, so we're gonna hold you to that standard.
That's the standard now. Yeah.
And so my mom, like, I remember she was like, if I brought in anything like a B, she was like, okay, that's gonna be an A on the report card, right? I'm like, dang, I'm like, I guess so. But I appreciate that level of confidence that they had, and like, no, like, if you can do it, we want you to be the absolute best you can be.
And the accountability. For sure. That's big.
Yeah. And so she knew, like, if I didn't keep that up, if I didn't do that right, I wasn't going to be able to play ball and do some of the other stuff I wanted to do. So I was like, look, I got to make sure all this stuff is in line. So, all those things, I just tried to, navigate it as best I could while just enjoying it, man, just having fun with it. And so, that's kind of how I did it in high school.
Well, that's big. You can just balance all that in high school and just kind of keep it all in kind of in line, like you said, and it kind of prepared you to college. You move on, leave your mark at Columbus High, go to Mississippi State. Talk about that decision, initially to go to Starkville to Mississippi State University.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. So my story kind of was a lot different than most people would expect. So I had a phenomenal, great season my senior year, but I didn't get recruited by anybody. And so that was a big blow, because I was telling everybody, I was like, I'm going to play college ball. Like, bro, we love you, but nah. Like, it's not happening. I'm telling y'all, I believe it's going to happen.
Right.
And so me and my wife now started dating when we were in high school.
Okay.
So she went to Mississippi State. And I was close to home. Of course, I love state too. And so right out of high school, I had an opportunity to go to Steele, because my sisters, one of them worked there, one of them went there, and it was like, hey, just try out for the team, and they may have a scholarship for you, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So I did. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I really don't want to go, but I'll go just because y'all asked me to. So I went out, tried out, And they did. They offered me a scholarship,
Okay.
and offered me a academic scholarship and a drumline scholarship. So
Dang.
I had a quote unquote full ride to Steele. But I didn't want to go.
Right.
So I was like, I don't want to go there. And so I ended up going to Mississippi State because I was like, I want to stay close to home. I still had responsibility. I was singing at church and stuff on weekends, so I was like, I don't want to go too far.
Yeah.
And so decided to go to Mississippi State and follow my girlfriend. She was at State, so I was like, it's the best of both worlds. Mississippi State is a great college. They offered me a drumline scholarship to go, so I'm like, hey, I love music. I'll go be major in music, be able to be close to home, come home on the weekends, lead worship, be involved in church, all of it. So to have a chance to do all of that, I was like, hey, Mississippi State is the place for me. So kind of stepped into that way, and that's how I ended up at State. But I still had that burning desire to play ball. So.
Yeah. So you get there, like what were some initial impressions of college? Because everybody has their own stories of college and what they think it is or what they think it's going to be like. Like, how did you kind of adjust? Because it is a big adjustment. Like, how did you adjust?
Man. Come on, you talking about having all this freedom, and now you got to choose. Yeah. When you're at home,
everything.
It's like mom and dad, you got to do this, you got to do this, get up, go. When you're in college, it's like, if you don't go, you don't go. But you don't have to pay the consequences, right? If you don't go to class, you don't do what you're supposed to do. And so for me, it's like, all right, you're on your own now. You got to, all the stuff you were taught, you got to put that stuff into action. So seeing just all of the things that you could get involved in.
Outside stuff.
It's like, man, okay, now you got to kind of hold fast to some of those roots and what you taught growing up to, navigate. What are you going to do? What are you going to do now that you have all this newfound freedom? Mom and dad not there to check on you and make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do and not wake you up. No. You got to just do it. You got to do it. So for me, that was probably one of the biggest adjustments. All right, man, you're free to do what you want. Now what are you going to do with it? Are you going to waste time? Are you going to waste life? Are you going to get involved in all this stuff? Or are you going to lock in and do what you're supposed to do? Yeah. For me, I'm thankful and fortunate enough that I guess, God graced me with a perspective that I'm like, I don't want to just get out here and just wild out. Right. I'm trying to get somewhere.
Tunnel vision. You're like,
I'm trying to, there's something I'm actually trying to accomplish. And so I was grateful to have that desire to just try to do things the right way. So I didn't get involved in a lot of stuff. I didn't go to parties. Yeah. I didn't do a lot of things that most people laugh at. I'm like, man, what are you talking about? It's college life. Right. It's okay. It's fine. Yeah. I just didn't have the urge. I know. Honestly, man, I did not. But I just didn't have the urge, man, to do a lot of that stuff, man. I just wanted to lock in with my grades. You do what I need to do. Enjoy. I was still, and at that time, like I said, I still wanted to play ball too. Yeah. So I was working out. Yeah. Even before I went to drumline practice, band practice, I was doing all this stuff. So like you said, I really didn't have a whole lot of additional time to do this. I was just tired. I was like, You didn't have no urge for that. Yeah, so that's probably one of the biggest adjustments. Having that freedom and having to decide how you was going to navigate and use it. It's probably one of the biggest adjustments.
So you just touched on, you were working out, trying to get on the team and just keeping that fire and desire alive. How did that process go to kind of end up on the team, getting to play in the hump, for Coach Stansberry, right?
Come on.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of walk us through that.
That was when I look back on that time, man, kind of the same, almost in high school. When I had a dream one day, it was really happened. I had a dream that I was running down the court. This is before I even talked to any of the coaching staff. I had a dream I was running down the court and I gave Coach Stansberry a high five, in my dream. I was and I woke up, I was like, man, that was strange. What was that? You know? But for whatever reason, man, I started telling everybody in the Sanderson, y'all, I'm going to be on the team next year. Now, at the time, mind you, they were not having, walk-on trials. They weren't doing any of that because of the caliber of players they were recruiting. Right, we don't need trials.
No room and stuff.
And so here I am, just all right, well, I'm just going to keep believing. I don't know, what it could look like. So, every day I was in the gym doing weight training, doing drills. Before playing pickleball, the guys laughing bro, what are you doing? We just playing pickleball. Is it that serious? Y'all are just playing pickleball. I'm preparing for something. I'm preparing for an opportunity that may or may not come, but if it does come, I want to be ready. For sure. And so I did that for 2 years. For 2 years, man, I did that, man. Just in the Sanderson, working out, just believing. But when I had that dream, I was like, well, I'm willing to do whatever I got to do. So that year, I got in contact with the women's coach. I found out, I was like, man, they have practice players with the women.
Mm-hmm.
So you talking about putting yourself out there looking crazy.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
When the guys in the centers and found out I was a practice player with the women's,
imagine.
bro, like, they were, like, clowning me to the max. I'm like, all right, whatever, you know. But, yeah, I did that, man. It was kind of crazy. You know, some people think, man, that's crazy. But, like, man, them women, like, you'll be surprised. Man. You'll be surprised, man. I caught a few elbows and stuff in practicing with them.
For sure.
But yeah, so just believing for that. But I'll never forget, man, that year I did that, the very following year, I got a call. I don't know what happened, but I got a call. I answered the phone. I was in my apartment that summer and didn't recognize the number. And he was like, is this Tyson? I said, yeah. He said, this is Coach Stanford.
Wow.
And I was like, what's up, Coach? Like,
what
you need?
Yeah.
He was like, hey, your name's been floating around the office because around that time, after I started playing, practicing with the women, some of the guys like D-Boss, Arnett Moultrie, Ronaldo Sidney, Rodney Hood, all those guys would come to the Sanderson, you know, during the off time and just play pickleball. Right. So they recognized me from Remington. They're like, hey, you know, come play with us. Yeah. I started playing with them. They started telling me, hey, I know this kid, but he can shoot. He can shoot, coach. Like, so they started telling, you know, the staff about me that I was playing pickleball with them. And on the call, when Coach Andrew called me, he's like, hey, you know, your name's been floating around the office. We'd love to meet you. You know, he was like, the roster's full right now, but we would love to just stay in contact, you know, and just kind of see where it goes. I'm like, Coach, look, I appreciate the call, you know, but I would love the opportunity. If it ever came, I would love the opportunity. So he said, well, we'll get in touch. So we got the phone. I'm like, dang, I just told everybody I was going to the team next year. He just told me the roster's full, so I'm going to look like a fool now. But it's crazy, man. But I sat there for a second, and I said, you know what? I said, God, I'm going to keep trusting the process. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm just going to keep working. Whatever you got, it's going to happen. I kid you not, 5 minutes later, the assistant coach called me back. Coach Marcus Grant, he was assistant coach.
Yeah, I remember him.
Coach Marcus Grant, he called me back. He said, hey, Tyson, Coach Tennessee wants to meet you in his office.
Wow.
And I'm like, I ain't asking the question. I'm thinking to myself, like, what do you want to meet about? Like, he just told me the roster's full. Exactly. Blah, 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 blah. Well, of course, I ain't asked any questions. I said, I'm on my way. Man, I got down to that Humphrey Coliseum as fast as I could, man. I probably ran like 2 or 3 stop signs trying to get down there. But I remember walking in, man, and we just started talking. I don't remember everything Coach Andrew said, but I do remember he said, you know, they were getting ready to go to Europe that year. And he was like, hey, you know, we will offer you a private tryout. Just practice with the team for 3 weeks. He said, if you're good enough, we'll let you know. If you're not, we'll let you know. Is that fair? I'm like,
whatever you say.
Let's go. Whatever we got to do, man. I've been preparing for this moment, right? You know. But here's the crazy thing. Like, in that moment, I just started thinking about, like, what if I had just listened to, like, all the people, like, man, you're crazy. You're like, it's not possible. Like, you're wasting your time. I was like, man, I've been faithfully preparing for this moment, you know, and I'm just grateful that I just didn't give up on the process because I felt like I was ready. But I'm telling you, that first practice I was in, so I prayed, I did all my stuff. I'm like, God, all right, I'm here now. I'm prepared for this. I'm telling you, man, I don't know why, but God favored that first practice like never before. I remember going down, man, and D-Boss and some of those guys, we were doing drills and doing stuff, and I did not miss a shot, man. I mean, it was, I mean, when I say it was crazy, and all of them was just, I'm like, Coach, I told you you could shoot. I told you you could shoot. I'm like, God, like, appreciate it, man. But I look back on that time, and it was crazy, man. Like, it's crazy how, you know, I believe to this day, like, God, for whatever reason, he opened that door, and he blessed that opportunity, man. And going through that time practicing with the team, it was getting close to time where I kind of need to know if I didn't make the team. If I didn't, I had to go get ready for drumline camp again. So I remember towards that 3 weeks, I went to Coach Stanford. I'm like, hey, Coach, like, I know you told me you were going to let me know, but I kind of need to know if I made the team or not, because if not, then I got to go get ready for drumline camp. And that day, he said, Tyson, you can hang your band shoes up, man. You made the team.
What?
And I'm telling you, man, like, it was an emotional day. Like, didn't want to cry in front of Coach Stanford, so I'm trying to hold all my emotions in. Like, man, I got to get out of here. I can't cry in front of the head coach. But, you know, I remember leaving his office, calling my mom. You know how moms are, man. I call my mom. She's screaming, hollering on the phone. Like, I'm so happy, so proud of you. And tried to call other family members, but she called all of them before I even got a chance to tell anybody else, man. It's like, we know. I'm like, dang, that was fast, you know. But, man, it was just a life-changing moment where I just saw God's faithfulness shine through, you know, one of the times in my life. Absolutely. There have been many, but that was a huge one for me, for sure.
what are some kind of like moments, maybe like in-game moments or just games in general, like just that you remember, like memories from just playing at the Mississippi State, you know?
Come on, man. I got like probably 3 top ones for sure. One, my first year, got a chance to play in Madison Square Garden.
Oh,
we went to a 2K Classic in New York, man, and that was crazy. Just running through the tunnel. You know, like any hooper would love to just play in Madison Square, man. It's crazy.
Sure.
So running through the tunnel, running in the court, my first year, I'm like, wow, like I'm in Madison Square Garden.
That was your first year.
Yeah, my first year, and to top that, we won the championship.
Of that little tournament.
Yeah, the 2K Classic that year, but it was crazy. Yeah. And so we had a great team that year, man. But that was so fun. That was my first year on the team. Getting that experience in New York was like, wow. you know, like it just last year I was a practice player with the women's, right? Like you talking about full circle, just being able to just be on that court was like crazy. Probably another experience was getting a chance to play in a tournament in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that was just phenomenal, man. I'll never forget that Maui Invitational, which was just surreal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, getting a chance to play there. But probably another one would be having a chance to play in what is called now the Game of Change. You know, against Loyola College. Well, years ago, you know, when we were told, Mississippi State was told not to participate in a game because of the segregation and everything that was going on at the time, well, our university, they like, no, we're doing it. We're going to sneak out. We're going to get our team there. And so they still have those games to commemorate like what that moment stood for. And like that was a very just national game in history that really impacted the sports for years, you know, that's still being talked about to this day. So for us to experience that, and we played at that game my second year to commemorate that against Loyola College here at Mississippi State. And I remember, man, it was a close game. It was getting down to the wire, and there was 2 plays, man, that was just crazy. I'll never forget them. So I hit a 3, and I think we may have tied it up. And so they went down. We stole the ball. I saved it from going out of bounds. Threw it to Craig Sword and called him chicken.
Yeah, I remember.
Threw it to him. We ran out of court. Threw it to Fred Thomas. And I was trailing, you know,
trying
to catch up. I was like, and he passed it, and I hit another 3. It was like the momentum, like after the game, we ended up winning the game down the stretch. And then I remember Coach Rick Ray, he was coaching at the time. He said, man, like that was a pivotal moment in the game to help us kind of get over the hump. And I was like, man, to play in that type of historical game, the moment of it, help us win. I remember those plays, like, dang, that was crazy, man. The crowd, everybody in the home, it was going crazy. So, you know, those emotions, it was just,
no doubt.
I remember those moments, man. So those probably like my top 3. When I think back, man, I was just special. You know, there is a whole host of experiences, but probably those like my top 3.
I got you. What about favorite, or not favorite player, but just like favorite or best player you played against in college? If you got one, I'm sure there's multiple you can name off, but if you got one.
Anthony Davis.
Ooh, I was at that game too.
So crazy enough, when I was on the team, we got in foul trouble my second year, and I had to guard him for like a stint. Yeah, and like that.
What are you gonna do?
It's not like, you know, and so it's kind of crazy. You know, I tell my son every now and then, like every time we see him, because he loves like LeBron and Lakers, and he's like looking. I'm like, hey, you know, I played against that guy right there. Like, yeah, had to guard him a few possessions, like just unreal, you know. So, but yeah, he was probably, you know, in my time, he's probably the best player I ever played against, and just. You know, he was dominant then. You know, people kind of talk about him now. He's still a dominant player.
He still was back then.
When he's healthy, you know, he still do it, man. He can still do it.
For sure.
But yeah, he was probably the best player I played against in my college career.
Okay, so kind of stepping away from basketball and just kind of moving away from college. You know, you graduate from Mississippi State and music degree, right?
Yep.
So you have that, and just kind of talk us through those steps of, you know, what was next for you? Like, was it trying to go overseas and play? Was it, you know, trying to do something with your music degree? Like, talk us through that, because, you know, I'm in that same stage now. Like, you don't really know what's next. So, like, kind of talk us through that.
For sure, yeah. So, crazy enough, man, I mentioned that I met my wife now in high school. So, we made a crazy jump of faith to get married while we were in college. And so, that was an unbelievable experience. I wouldn't recommend anybody getting married in
Yeah.
college, but we did it.
Just right for y'all.
Just faith. We felt like that's what we wanted to do and try to honor God with our relationship. But we did that, and so being a married player on the team, it's kind of crazy. When I was getting ready to graduate, there were certain things that I tried to take into consideration being a married man versus just being like I'm trying to figure stuff out. So. I did have an opportunity to pursue playing ball overseas. I had some people reach out to go and play in Finland.
Okay.
So I was just in conversations and just like, hey, trying to figure out what it could look like. And I was talking to her about it, talking to my pastor about it, my parents, just praying through like, Lord, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to play pro ball. This is what I put all this work into. Like, man, I would love this opportunity. But as I prayed more about it, as I talked more about it, like, man, I just didn't have peace to pursue it anymore.
Just wasn't as fulfilling.
As aggressively. Like I love the game. I feel like it could have been a great experience possibly, but just didn't have that sense of peace. Like that's what God wanted me to continue to like put my efforts in trying to pursue. So once that was no longer on the table, and I decided to just walk away from like playing ball anymore, I was trying to figure out, all right, so what is next? Like you said, so. Coach Smith reached out. He's like, hey, you ready to start coaching? And I was like, I said, I don't know, Coach. I don't know. Let me think. Let me pray on it. Because he wanted me to start, come back to Columbus and start coaching. He had a position for me in the middle school that he wanted me to step into. But I prayed through that and just didn't feel like coaching right now. I was like, man, I don't think I want to coach right now. So the other option that was on the table that I was praying through was FCA full time, because when I was a senior at Mississippi State playing ball, I was an intern with FCA, and so what their role looked like with Bill Buckley, who was the campus director at the time, was like, look, I just want you to love on the team, maybe even have Bible studies or whatever. Just be a light. That's all you got to do. Just be a light and love on your teammates and just and do that, and we'll see where it goes. And so when I was graduating, he said, hey. It's a full-time role that you can kind of step into if you would like that. And I said, started praying through it. And when I started to consider, like, man, this is kind of like the best of both worlds. You got basketball, sports, which I really love. You got ministry, Jesus, God, which I love even more. It's like you combine those two
together,
and you have like a full-time job out of it. It's like, man, okay, I think I can do that. So that's kind of where I just like dove into, man. First, full-time anything in my life was FCA. And so, I think it was just God leading me in a direction where I could still use my sports background and being able to intertwine it with my faith and go around to the schools, high schools, middle schools, had some responsibilities also at Mississippi State within FCA. And so just dove head first into that and just felt like that was my next move that God was steering me in the direction.
That's awesome, but like, how would you navigate that? Like jumping into it, obviously that's a fun job, sports and also ministering to other people. Like people just kind of take different information like differently and learn differently. Like how did you try to reach people in a way that everybody could, kind of apply it to their lives? Yeah.
One thing I'm grateful for is just, like you said, sports kind of highlights a picture where, it's so easy to connect with people. Because you have people from, especially in college and beyond, it's like people from everywhere, people from all different walks of life, all different backgrounds. You just kind of, and in sports, it's just easy to be like, all right, we're in this together, especially on the same team, and just kind of have this sense of like camaraderie and just appreciating people's differences. And so going throughout sports my whole life just kind of helped, I feel like, prepare me for like just the world and trying to connect with people in those same ways. It's like, man, there are so many people that have different stories, different backgrounds, different things that they've been exposed to, and being able to just have conversations with people and try to meet people where they are has been something that I attribute a lot to my sports time, and just helping me, like you said, connect and navigate. So that's been kind of really, really cool to see how all those experiences with sports help prepare me for even what I'm doing now in my life. So I think it played a big role in how I try to connect with people.
It's weird, like in the moment when you're playing sports, you don't even think about all the stuff you're learning, like all the valuable tools that you're applying now to your life. So it's really cool to see. And like you just touched on, like what you're doing now, just chaplain, Mississippi State basketball, like how did that come about, and just how are you enjoying that new journey?
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy, man. That was one of the big things that was on the table when Bill Buckley at the time said, "Hey, we want you to step into this full-time role." Now at the time when I was full-time with FCA, I had 3 counties of high schools and middle schools on top of my responsibilities in Mississippi State.
Yeah,
So I was
that's a
like
lot.
spinning my wheels. Like I mean,
Everywhere.
I was always on the go, going to this high school, meet with this team, talking to this coach,
Yeah.
just like meeting people. But when it came down to like the chaplain and just really connecting with the team, that was something that he said, I really want you to step fully into that even more, and just see, how you can establish those game chaplain, like pregame chapels throughout the season, how you can connect with the coaches in a deeper way, any Bible studies, any like one-on-one meetings you can have with the players or the coaches, like just flesh that out and just see like what it can grow into and step into that. So that was a big chunk of my role as well, right off the bat, when I stepped into FCA. And so now, trying to learn in that, as I was growing as a man, you talking about intimidation, I'm like, okay, I was a former player, but now I'm trying to step into this role where I'm trying to minister to these grown men that like have families and and trying to like offer insight and encouragement. Like it was a little intimidating at first, but just growing over these last, 8-9 years that I've been in that role has been amazing to see, guys just open up, when they just see like, man, he don't want anything from me. He just cares. He's wanting to kind of be in my corner, because at that level at Mississippi State or even any college, coaches and players, they have to sometimes be a little reserved because like, okay, who else wants something from me? Like who else trying to be involved in my life because of my status or my platform, whatever the case may be. So, trying to earn that trust, with guys over time is really cool, and just see them like, hey, I'm going through this tough patch, man. Can you pray for me, man? Like this is going on with my family. Like, can you pray for me? Can we talk? Can we have this Bible study? It's been humbling, man, just to see what it has come into. And so now, I guess my only responsibility within FCA is just my team chaplain. That's the only margin I have now in my life. But when it comes to my involvement with FCA, but man, it's been cool to see what it has grown into over these last since I started in 2014.
Wow. Yeah, that has to be so just fulfilling, just to have all these good relationships with all the players, and like every year, obviously, there's more coming in. And how do you kind of reset, like with those new players, and like you said, building trust, and they're always maybe used to people trying to take, and you're just trying to give, and just kind of learn more about them. How do you kind of navigate those obstacles?
Yeah, I just try to hold on to the same that I feel like is tried and true. People don't care what you know until they know you care. So what I've always tried to do with every new onset of players or whatever it looks like is like, man, I want to intentionally show you that I care about you, because in the world of sports, fans and people like that watch, they just care about, can you help us win? Like, can you just help us win?
Yeah, that's it.
And so I understand that pressure, and even me being a player, I feel like they kind of let the guard down. Okay, like he understands. Like,
You've been what I've been through.
Like this is the pressure of like trying to like perform and do it a certain way. It's like, nah, man, like whether you score 20 points or whether you like don't even play, like I'm here for you. I care about you. I care about how you're doing in your mind. I care about your family. And when guys kind of pick up on that and they sense a genuine level of like care, it's like I feel like people respond to that. People respond to that, and that's kind of what I've tried to do. Just show the guys that I care about them and not their production, not
it's bigger than that.
So and guys respond, man. I've been grateful to dive into that.
So you do coaches too? I thought it was just more of a player relationship. So you do coaches too?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
Man.
That's got to be fun too, man.
Oh yeah,
definitely
for sure.
Picking their brains on things, getting their perspectives.
Yeah,
that's to be interesting.
Yeah, I've tried to do that, man. And I've had over the years just one-on-one meetings with coaches. I've had Bible studies with coaches and their families. You talking about something that's been like humbling, that I've led Bible studies, with some of the coaching staff and their families. Has been like, wow, like God, you positioned me to do something like this, and sometimes feel so like inadequate. Like I'm 32, like I've experienced some things, but man, you talking about guys that are well on and like they have their children are grown or growing up. It's like, man, they've experienced a lot more of life than me. So, like why me to be able to kind of like pour into them? But like, man, I've been blessed and fortunate enough that God said, "No, like you're there for a reason.
Right.
Like minister to them, connect with them, pray with them as well." So that's been cool as well.
You're probably learning from them too, because they're older and they're giving you some insight on stuff and like whatever relative conversation you got to offer. So so you've been doing that for 8 to 9 years. Like where do you see yourself like in the future? Or do you just kind of see yourself keep growing and progressing in that role, or like what do you think kind of is in store for your next future plans?
Yeah, that's something I've been asked quite a few times. Like that, like, man, do you ever think you would step into coaching?
I thought about
years down, at any point. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if it's something that would kind of morph into, but. Man, I think right now I'm just trying to stay faithful season to season, whatever it looks like. Even this year, last year got a chance to, form a relationship with a new coach, Chris Jans and his staff, and man, they've been phenomenal. Love my relationship with Coach Highland and love all the coaches I've been able to serve. Coach Rick Ray that I played for, did serve. Like all these things have been crazy good, and being able to do it. So even with now with Coach Chris Jans, like the relationship is just even right off the bat, it was just strong and it has evolved. And so I'm just trying to, Lord, I'll take a year to year, whatever you
be where your feet are.
Just kind of enjoy the moment and serve as hard as I can, and whatever that may lead to, who knows? Who knows, man? But I try not to think too far ahead.
Right.
My mind gets overwhelmed. Like, dang.
I do the same thing.
You got a lot, that I'm trying to, prepare for. Like even like my family, my kids are growing up, and they'll be getting more involved in sports here soon. I'm like, Lord, all right, am I gonna be able to keep up with the pace of life? When they get involved with extracurricular stuff, and I'm like, all right, just trying to prepare.
Day by day for sure. So we're gonna get into some quick hitters just to cap this episode off. What's the best place you've traveled to just through your time with athletics and just maybe vacations? Like what's your favorite place?
Yeah. Right now, my top two, and I think I mentioned earlier, was New York and Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
New York and Hawaii.
For sure.
It's like,
it's
crazy. It's crazy good.
Favorite meal?
My wife knows, rotel dip. It's not a meal, but rotel dip and wings. Rotel dip, lemon pepper wings at that.
I was about to ask.
Let me specify.
Okay.
Yes, rotel dip and lemon pepper wings. Like my favorite meal.
Okay. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie. You may laugh at this, but for me, Lion King. The original one. Lion King. Not what they did. It's like, I like this.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, as a kid, I watched that. I was like, this is an emotional movie. Like, what is happening? Yeah. Probably, like, hands down, my favorite movie of all time.
Favorite moment from being the chaplain right now? Like, just a big win or big performance by somebody. Like, what's the best moment you've had in these 8 to 9 years?
Crazy enough. It's not even like in the sport. I was playing piano in a hotel for an away game. I think we were in Arkansas for this game. Coach Howland, they were having a meeting. I was playing keyboard. He came out and he was like, "Hold on, is that Ty?" So it's first time he didn't even know I could sing. I mean, the people were telling him. So he made me play for the whole team in the hotel. People were stopping like, "What's going on?" And I sung a song called "I Give Myself Away" by William McDowell. And he was like, he played it. The next morning, he said, "Tyson, I stayed up all night. I probably played this video 100 times."
Wow.
So it was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That, he just asked the whole team. We just had a moment, man. Had a moment. I was on the piano and played for the whole team that night. So.
Dang. It's like you're just in the lobby.
Just in the
That's
lobby.
Crazy.
In the lobby in the hotel, man. He was like, he recorded it. He said, "Man, I sent this to every friend I knew. Like, man, you got to hear this. You got to hear this." I was like, "Man, come on, Coach Allen." But it was probably like one of the craziest moments.
It has to be. For sure.
And what was funny, like almost every hotel I went to on the away games, he would ask them, "Do they got a piano?" Because he would want me to he would want me to play like something for the team, like the night before the game. And so it was so crazy, man. Like if they didn't have one, I'm like, man, well, all right, like there was like something on his checklist, like ask them if they got a piano, so Tyson can play for us. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right, last question. What's one word you would describe your journey up to this point? Like, through all the trials and tribulations, people telling you can't do this and that, and look at you now, like, look what you're doing, doing big things. Like, what one word, if you could put your hand on,
Probably one word that I would put, but I would want to tie to, one word for me would be perseverance. But the other one I would add was just favor of God. You know, a lot of times we can attribute our efforts to like, man, that's why I got where I'm at. And I did persevere through a lot. Like I just trusted the process and I kept working at it, kept putting in a lot of time. But I feel like you can't underestimate the favor of God when he just does stuff that you cannot take credit for. And I feel like in my life, there was so many things that I just cannot take credit for. I don't care how hard I worked at it. God just did what he wanted to do. But yeah, perseverance and but favor more than that. More than that, for sure. So.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, this wraps up episode 2. We'll see you for episode 3.